Welcome everyone, I'm Dale and this is Cinema Historia. 3 models, a New York penthouse, and a mission to marry into money. This week we're going back to 1953 for a screwball comedy called How to Marry a Millionaire. Starring Marilyn Monroe, Betty Grable, Lauren Bacall, William Powell, David Wayne, Rory Calhoun, Cameron Mitchell, Alex Darcy, and Fred Clark. And I'm out of breath. And this is directed by Gene Negulesco. So where does our story begin this week? Well, our story begins in New York City. 3 models are on a mission, each to be married to a millionaire. Resourceful Shotzi, played by Lauren Bacall, spunky Loco, played by Betty Grable, and ditzy Pola, played by Marilyn Monroe, make up our 3 hopefuls. To accomplish this task, they rent a luxurious New York City penthouse from Freddie, played by David Wayne, who is avoiding the IRS by living in Europe. Together they plan a marriage caper and plan to court the city's elite. On the first day they move in, Loco meets and brings home Tom, played by Cameron Mitchell, who purchases her groceries for her because she forgot her pocketbook. Could happen. Tom shows interest in Shotzi, but she dismisses him, stating that the first rule of thumb is, gentlemen callers have got to wear a necktie. Another trip to the store brings home charming, classy, rich widower JD, played by William Powell, a cattle farmer from Texas. JD, intrigued, invites the 3 girls to an oil convention for some drinks and a few laughs. While courting the older JD, Shotzi annoyingly continues to be pursued by Tom, even though she tells him she never wants to see him again. At the convention, Loco meets grumpy businessman Walter, played by Fred Clark, a married man who invites her to his lodge in Maine, with Loco accepting, thinking it's another convention with another opportunity. Loco, discovering she has made a mistake and wants to go back home, meets handsome Forest Ranger Eben, played by Rory Calhoun, a civil servant. Meanwhile, Pola, who has bad eyesight and hates to wear her glasses, meets oil tycoon Stewart, played by Alex Darcy, at the convention, is unaware of his crooked business ventures. An invite from Stewart to meet his family in Atlantic City. Pola's bad eyesight prevails and accidentally boards a plane destined for Kansas City. On the plane, she meets Freddie en route to retrieve his tax documents from the IRS and take back custody of his New York City penthouse. So, does their marriage caper prove foolproof? Do 3 models wear diamonds and walk down the aisle? Or does love prevail over money? The screenplay was based on 2 successful plays. The Greeks had a word for it in 1930, and Loco from 1946. With 5 nominations, including 1 Oscar nomination, How to Marry a Millionaire was 20th Century Fox's first film to be shot in the new CinemaScope widescreen sound process. Released on November 4th, 1953, this film was a huge box office success, earning $8 million worldwide and $7.5 million domestically. And with an 86% rating from the film critic Rotten Tomatoes, it was the 4th highest grossing film of 1953, and that is a big deal. And our trivia question this week, was there an interesting street sign in our film? Was there an interesting street sign in our film? So, a little more history and the answer to our trivia question coming up next. Now, in our film, Loco takes a ride with Forest Ranger Eben in a Tucker snowcat. And that's the topic of this week's history. So, when Emmett Tucker was a young boy in northwestern Jackson County, he walked to school in the deep snow. What was different about Tucker is that he did something about it. The Tucker Snowcat Corporation of Medford, Oregon is one of the world's oldest and most successful makers of snow vehicles. The company's motto is no snow too deep, no road too steep. Founder E.M. Tucker was born in 1892 on Jump-Off Joe Creek near Grant Pass. As a young man in the 1920s, he recognized that there was a market for machines that would travel on snow. Early spiral drive designs never proved the right combination of flotation and traction, but by 1938, Tucker came up with a revolutionary new design, a steel track that allowed pontoons to float on snow. By the winter of 1941, he had a successful prototype built, and within a few years, 1948 saw a 600-mile demonstration midwinter trek from Mount Shasta to Mount Hood. This demonstration made Tucker's machines famous, which resulted in English explorer Sir Vivian Fuchs using 4 of them in the first overland crossing of Antarctica in 1958. The Tucker Corporation remains a family-owned business in Medford with distributors around the world, including extreme environments such as the North Slope of Alaska. With a workforce of about 35 employees, Tucker produces as many as 120 snow machines each year, making the collector's market for vintage models thrive. And I believe the model in our film is a 443 model. 400 series, 4-track, and 3 doors. Pretty cool. Now, why would someone want to marry a millionaire in 1953? Well, things were expensive in the 1950s. The average cost of a new house was $9,500. Average monthly rent was $85. Average cost of a new car was $1,650. Average cost of a gallon of gas was 20 cents. And the average income per year was about $4,000. That's why. And if the girls had waited just a few years more, another soon-to-be millionaire, Elvis Presley. Yes, Elvis Presley graduated from L.C. Humes High School in Memphis, Tennessee in June of 1953. And the answer to our trivia question this week: was there an interesting street sign in our film? Yes, during exterior shots, the camera pans up to a street sign that reads Sutton Place outside the building where the girls rent their apartment. The apartment was in 68 Sutton Place at 55th Street, New York City. Marilyn Monroe actually lived at 2 Sutton Place on the Upper East Side. She shared a penthouse apartment with her husband, playwright Arthur Miller. And their apartment was listed for sale in 2016 for $6.75 million. Wow. I'd like to give out a big thank you to my new subscribers this week, and for everyone else taking the time out of their busy week for my channel. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I hope you get to marry a millionaire by next week. We'll hope to see you then.
But how about one of those rich Maharajas?
How about 3 of them? Wouldn't that be wonderful if we had 3 of them up for dinner and they all married us?
Think of all those diamonds and rubies.
And all those crazy elephants. This is really living it up, isn't it?